Hello and welcome to STEM with Mr. N, where I perform different demonstrations and explain the science behind what we're seeing. This week, I've teamed up with databot to explore the greenhouse effect. Let's check it out. You've probably heard that carbon dioxide, CO2, is one of the gases that causes global warming. But how do we know that? In this experiment, I'm going to use databot, a great robotic device loaded with sensors, to find out if CO2 really does trap heat. If you're not familiar with databot, I'll put a link in the description to my previous databot video where I explore it in more detail. For this experiment, you will need one databot with two temperature probes, two identical clear glass jars with lids, a CO2 source like baking soda and vinegar, a light source like a heat lamp or strong flashlight, stopwatch or timer, hot glue and a drill. You can also use a couple of microbits to run this experiment, or a thermometer if neither a databot or microbits are available. First, I need to set up my jars. I'm going to drill a hole into the lid of each jar. Then I'm going to insert a databot thermometer probe into each lid and use a hot glue gun to seal around the edges to stop air escaping around where the probe enters the lid. Next, I'm going to use a funnel and pour some vinegar into a plastic bottle and use a different funnel to put some baking soda into a balloon. I'm going to attach the balloon over the opening of the bottle and tip the baking soda into the vinegar. When these two substances react, they produce carbon dioxide gas, which fills up the balloon. I'm going to quickly remove the balloon from the bottle, keeping it pinned shut, and then release this gas into one of my glass jars, quickly sealing the lid on top. I'm going to label this jar CO2 so I can tell my jars apart. I'm going to connect the temperature probes to my databot, with my jar of normal air being connected to temperature port 1 and the CO2 jar to temperature port 2. I'm then going to open the Visi app and select the dual temperature experiment from the options available. I'm going to turn on my heat lamp, ensuring that it's shining equally on both jars, and then start the experiment running on the Visi app. Now that it's started, I'm going to take a note of the starting temperatures and leave this experiment to run for 20 minutes, recording the temperature after every minute, while also having a camera pointing at the temperature graphs as they are created. Now the 20 minutes is up, it's time to look at the overall results. In this experiment, both jars got the same amount of light, energy, but the jar with more CO2 heated up faster, as seen by its steeper curve, and got hotter than the one with regular air. You saw the difference that just a small amount of extra CO2 from that balloon made. A greater amount of CO2 added to the jar would lead to a bigger difference in temperature. So why does this happen? CO2 absorbs and holds on to heat better than normal air. That's how it works in our atmosphere. It traps heat from the sun and makes Earth warmer. This experiment shows in a simple way how more carbon dioxide leads to more heat, just like it does in climate change. A little CO2 is natural and necessary. It helps keep our planet warm enough for us to live. But today there's too much CO2 in the air, mostly from burning things like coal, oil and gas for cars, electricity, factories, etc. This extra CO2 traps more heat than normal, causing the planet to get warmer, a problem we call global warming. This warming leads to climate change, which causes hotter temperatures around the world, stronger storms, floods and droughts, melting glaciers and rising sea levels, changes to animal habitats and ecosystems, and trouble growing food in some areas. So while CO2 is important, too much of it causes big problems for people, animals and the planet. That's why scientists and leaders are working to reduce CO2 emissions and find cleaner ways to power our world. Well, that's all for this week. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like and subscribe buttons to stay up to date on all future content, and check out the link in the description to my other databot video. And a big thank you to databot for teaming up with me for this video. As always, I would like to take this opportunity to answer any science questions you have about any science topics at all. So feel free to email me at stemwithmrn@outlook.com and I'll get back to you with answers to your questions. You can subscribe to the channel by pushing the button here, and I've added links here to the other STEM demo and explanation videos I do, here to my series of STEM career interviews, including one with the founder of databot, Robert Grover, coming up this year, and here to my series of science fiction to science fact. This has been STEM with Mr. N, exploring the greenhouse effect.